I don't think I'm on a soapbox. I don't think I'm talking out of turn. I think that I want to appreciate for this podcast businesses, and I want people to appreciate how hard it is to make that decision and to start. I mean, if it was so easy, why isn't everyone doing it? Because it's hard.
Yeah.
Like we talked about with George, you can't be a pussy and start a business. It's the biggest, ballsiest, fattest move you can make. There's nothing you can do short of going to war that is more ballsy, and I'm not equating going to war with business. They don't even compare. But it's up there in terms of what you can do mentally and physically. I want to think about that business owner, that person that owns that brewery, and they have food. Maybe they have baked goods. So the owners are getting there at 4 o'clock every morning because you got to be ready for that 6:30 rush. Maybe it's 3:30 in the morning while you're cooking that morning stuff, and they're coming in, they're getting their coffee and what have you. Or maybe you don't even open until lunch at 10 o'clock, right? But you're in there every morning. That means you don't close until 10 o'clock. So you're starting your prep 3-4 hours before. You got to do all your cleanup. Maybe that's 3-4 hours afterwards. You go home, you get your 4 hours of sleep, and you do that for 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 years. In the case of this one, they did pretty well after coming out of 2008. So into 2011 and 12, 4 or 5 years into it, they started to bring the business around. And 6 or 7 years into it, they started to really add employees, started to manage it while they were also working in it. So now they had a business that lasted 14 years that was going very, very well, that it became a neighborhood type place, right? Go-to spot. That spot you were going to meet after work every day. And you got whole generations now, that's because they've been around for 14 years, that have only known that spot. I'll meet you down at, and we'll grab a beer real quick. That place we go to every night, or on the nights, on date night, Saturday night, after we get out of watching a movie, we'll go down and we'll check out and get a beer at. After work, right? Hey, Billy, all of us are going over too after work. Why don't you come down? It's Friday night. We'll get some. And then you walk in there and you see Mark, the bartender, and Bill, the owner, and Sarah, the waitress that's going to set you down. And all of those things take place every single day. All of those things are part of going into building the business. The parts that aren't seen, though, are that the Bill that owns the place started at 4 o'clock in the morning. You're just getting off your 8-hour shift. It's now 6:30 when you take off. You don't realize that he was there when you got there and he was there when he left, and you don't realize that he was there at 8 o'clock in the morning and was there when you left, and don't realize that he has 3 more hours and he's got 2 hours of cleaning and then he's got 4 hours afterwards. Why would anyone sign up for that? Why would anybody do that? Why? Because people want the independence of owning their own business, and I applaud them for that. People want to climb Mount Everest.
Mm-hmm.
People want to climb Yosemite, that fucking crazy-ass kid that Alex Honnold. Yeah.
The free climber.
The free climbers. Some people just want to do that. Okay, that's what being a business owner is. You're Alex Honnold, the free climber. Because no one else, relatively speaking, has the balls to go out and do that. They don't have the intestinal fortitude. They talk a game like they want to do it. One of these days, I'm going to do that. Sooner than later, we're going to do that. As soon as I get done with this over here, I'm going to do that. As soon as I get done with that, I'm going to do it. Yeah, they never fucking do. Pretty soon you're 50 years old and you've never done a goddamn thing. But you've talked about it. You feel like you're on equal terms with Tom across the street because Tom went and did it. But your plan is to go do it. And you never do. And by never doing it but planning on doing it means that you discount the sacrifice that Tom across the street made to get where he is. And maybe Tom's long gone. He's moved because he's moved to a nicer neighborhood because he worked his ass off. But all you know about Tom really is his car's gone when you get up in the morning, and when you come home at night, there's no car in the parking lot, in the driveway. That's all you know about Tom. You might see him a little bit on the weekend, but he's not there. Those are the guys that I want people thinking about. Those guys and girls who put this together, who run these businesses. I can't imagine what the dude feels like in the gun store that his great fucking grandfather owned. And then it went to his grandfather. And then it went to his dad. 1911, it was incorporated. I believe it was in the Bronx. Was incorporated in the Bronx, selling guns in New York City, which you can't even sell anymore, right?
Yeah.
Essentially. And he lost the business.
Yeah.
Talk to me about suicide, depression. Talk to me about how much and what kind of position we can put people in because they're out of work. And then let's talk about the business owner that's fourth generation, and he's the one responsible for losing it. It's the only thing he's known his entire life. And over well, I don't care what people's opinions are. This is mine. Over something that didn't warrant the response that we gave it, we stole all of these people's businesses. And you can be as unsympathetic about people and their business as you want, right? About it's their decision and blah, blah, blah. And I agree. It's their risk. But the risk isn't that it would be taken away by something that, for me, I think is being played up for political purposes. A couple of 100,000 people died. A couple of 100,000 people die all the fucking time in the United States, right? I will argue back also, and this is where my anger grows. My respect for the business owners is unending. My disrespect for anybody who wants to talk to me about COVID and 200,000 people died, I will immediately turn around and ask you about the 75,000 people who OD'd, mostly in Appalachia, the middle parts of the country, 3 years ago. I don't remember. Do you?
Nope.
No. What about, and I'm going to ask the question of anybody who talks and says, I don't give a shit about 200,000 people dead and you're just greedy and you just want more money for the business owners. I'm going to say, okay, I'll take that. I'll take you pushing back. Let me ask you, where were you? I don't remember you talking to me about the 75,000 people who died 2 years ago from an overdose of opioids. That's more people than died in fucking Vietnam. I don't remember hearing. Do you remember?
No.
When you hammer me the next time, you get my point. I'm going to ask you about the 75,000 people on average who died last year from opioid overdoses, more people than died in like the last 3 wars put together. What is your response going to be? Crickets. So shut the fuck up. Because COVID, terrible, kills people. So's the flu, so's pneumonia, so's cancer, so's old age. So's leukemia. It goes on and on. So's war. So do opioids. And we pay no lip service to it. But this one you pay lip service to? Doesn't make any sense, does it? No. It's not equitable. It's not fair. Why didn't people lose their businesses when 75,000 people were dying every year from opioids? And not just people, young people.
Yep.
The people you want. It lowered. There's so many deaths by opioids in the United States over the last 5 years that for 3 straight years, it lowered the overall age that you could hope to attain. The death age came down.
Wow.
So the first time in 120 years, our average lifespan went down 3 years in a row, mostly due to COVID, mostly due to opioid overdose. Is that insane?
Insane.
Right? Because it didn't kill, unlike COVID, people that are older than that average. It killed all the young people.
Yep.
Which so significantly, that one to me is the one that has the most significant impact. Not that COVID does.